After the sudden end of the Great War, the American public gradually got back to business as usual. Of course, the real highlight of the civilian world of 1919 was the start of the new Major League Baseball season. Baseball was touted in those days as the ultimate display of American democracy, where government officials, doctors, and lawyers would cram together with the general public in the grandstand. Opening day in Washington, D.C. featured Scott Perry of the Philadelphia Athletics, a pitcher who went 20-19 in 1918 with a 1.98 ERA in a whopping 332 innings. His opponent, of course, was Old Barney, the big train, Walter Johnson, who might be the greatest pitcher in the history of the game. So let's go back together to the old days of Washington, D.C., when homemade bread cost 8 cents a loaf and a dozen eggs fresh off the farm would run you 48 cents. We'll go back to the days when Johnny came marching home and when ads for the Liberty Bonds still covered newspapers around the country. After all, there's no remedy for the spoils and horrors of war quite like the thrills and excitement of baseball. Okay guys, well, welcome on back, and as promised, as I've been talking about for so long, we're going to get back into this 1919 replay. So, let's jump in, huh? So the first thing I kind of want to show you here is I want to give you a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a sight here of what things are like in Diamond Mine Baseball, since I know that there are many of you who likely have never played this game, never seen it. So the cool thing about Diamond Mine Baseball, so you go here to this screen, there's like nothing going on. You have to kind of know what you're doing to figure things out. You go over to, so you can go to Organizer, look at all the parks, all the players. There are different park effects for American League and National League parks. So the Polo Grounds, for example, in the American League has certain park factors. Over in the National League, it has different park factors. Interesting is it's exactly the same park. It's all relative to the league and stuff like that. There are different eras set in the game that help select sort of like, how do you explain this? It's kind of the way that events are generated in the game, the frequency for events, and that includes things like walks and strikeouts, and eventually will also include things like foul ball rates, swing rates for strikes, strike rates, so strike and ball rates, and stuff like that. Fairly complex game, and interesting for a game that is now well over 20 years old. But if you're asking me why it is that I play this game, why not play a different game, I'll show you right away. So we go over here to Report, go to Standard, and we'll look at the transaction log. And we'll look at the real-life transaction log. And we'll just show for everybody in the database so you can get an idea of this. This is the reason why you play Diamond Mine Baseball. So Diamond Mine Baseball, people who work for it spend a lot of time when creating these seasons, especially these deluxe pass seasons. They spend a lot of time going through the transactions and compiling all of these and making sure that the days are correct, making sure that things are put in correctly in the system and so on, so that you have the right amount of guys on each team, and so that you have rosters that are as close to real life as we can possibly make them. So that right there really is the thing that makes the difference, and trust me, it does. I've played a lot of these games. That's the thing that makes the biggest difference. It's not that hard to go on and to find all of the real life lineups, but finding those transactions is definitely something different. So here we're going to have the Philadelphia Athletics at the Washington Senators, and this, of course, is April 23rd, 1919, opening day. So we'll go ahead and jump on into this. Now, I don't believe that there were any sort of political royalty present at this game. It's possible, but I wasn't able to come across that in my research. So we're going to go over here to Griffith Stadium. This is, of course, the Griffith Stadium in the Mind, hence the name Diamond Mine Baseball, right? Where it's 75 degrees, a little bit warm, I think, for February, mid-February in the nation's capital, with the wind blowing out to right at 16 miles an hour. So we'll see if that makes any sort of difference here in terms of what happens, and we'll have the real-life lineups pop up. Now, I have this set up so that we'll be looking at the lineups as they were in real life and sort of seeing if we want to make any changes. We're not going to at this point in time of the season. This gives you sort of an idea of who's playing for each team, and I'll give you a bit more information about each of these players sort of as we get to them. Because there are a lot of guys that you almost certainly have never heard of, but I know that you've heard of this one. Walter Johnson is going to be the starting pitcher for the Washington Senators or Washington Nationals, depending upon which newspaper you believe, and he will be up against this man right here, Scott Perry. So you can see the opponent, and we'll see. We'll find where is Scott Perry located at. He should be. Oh, we should show pictures here. There we go. So Scott Perry is going to be his opponent. Perry didn't have a great season in 1919, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, the way that I do all these replays, just so you know, all these games that I play and so on, is I'll be the manager for the home team for every one of them. I do like looking at the starting lineups for both teams just in case there's a change I want to make, in case there's something that isn't realistic in terms of the replay and all of that. We don't have to worry about that too much here because we're just going to go ahead and jump straight on into this. So we'll get started here with Red Shannon. First name actually is Maurice here for the Athletics. And the first pitch from Johnson comes in. It's hit over to right center field. It's going to be Clyde Milan, the center fielder, running over and grabbing that. And that's the first out just like that. So Red Shannon wasting no time, and there's one away. Merlin Kopp comes up now. Merlin Kopp, who was with the Athletics for all of 1918, so he didn't go to the military. He takes the ball outside. Interesting enough, Kopp started his career with the Senators back in 1915. He played 16 games that year. Takes a strike and is 1-1. Kopp, 27 years old, so he was kind of an old rookie. A 1-1 pitch is a ground ball over to Davis, the shortstop, who fields it and throws over to first base for the out, and there are 2 men out. So Ike Davis, the rookie, making that play over at short, and that's the second out. And here comes Brago Roth. Brago Roth takes the ball high. Brago Roth, a very, very fast player, 26 years old in 1919. We've forgotten all about Brago Roth, who back in 1917 stole home 6 times, tying a major league record. That's called the strike. 1-1 now, the count on Roth. So Roth, the right fielder, was part of the deal for Shoeless Joe Jackson, actually. He was dealt to Cleveland for Shoeless Joe Jackson at one point in time back when the White Sox got control of Shoeless Joe. And they call him Brago for a reason. There's a ground ball over to Jandrin, the new second baseman for the Senators, who throws to first, and that's the third out. We'll have to talk more about Roth and the name Brago, though, in a second, because the Athletics are down 1-2-3. And so we'll go to the bottom of the first, and it's going to be Joe Judge here for the Senators, and they'll be up against Scott Perry. First pitch by Perry is inside for a ball, 1-0. But don't be fooled by Scott Perry and his stats, because Scott Perry in 1918 had a 20-19 record. There's a ball low, 2-0 on Judge. 20-19 he was, and he had an ERA that was just south of 2, actually. His ERA was 1.98. He threw 332 innings in 1918. There is a strike to Judge. It's 2-1. So Perry here in 1919 is 28 years old. Has fouled away. It's 2-2. 28 years old. He was a star pitcher with the old Atlanta Crackers for a while, and was sold to the Chicago Cubs. There's a little ground ball over to third. Thomas picks that one up and throws over to first for the out. That's Fred Thomas making that play, and there's one away. And here now comes Eddie Foster. Eddie Foster, older player, 32 years old, had a standout season back in 1918. So Perry was a star pitcher in 1918. There's a strike in there to Foster. It's 0-1. But Perry had a history when he was with the Cubs of dropping out of the team and playing semi-pro ball with American Steel and Wire that was located somewhere in Illinois. And Foster lines this one down the left field line, and Kopp's not going to be able to get there on time, and that's going to be a quick base hit. And the Senators with the first hit of the ball game, and that will now bring up Clyde Milan. So Foster gets it done. Foster, like I said, had a standout season in 1918, and he's looking for another good campaign in 1919. And here comes the next veteran, Clyde Milan. Milan was with the Senators going all the way back to 1907. Can you believe that? So just as far back as Walter Johnson. And the big question right now, of course, is, well, do you swing away with him or do you bunt? And it's kind of hard to say to bunt with the number 3 guy in the lineup, but that's what we're going to start to do. There's a throw to first, and Foster's back. We'll try this again. There's the sacrifice to the left side, and that goes foul. So Perry, kind of a star pitcher in his own right. Another throw to first, and Foster gets back in time. And here comes the bunt back to Perry. He gobbles that one up and goes to first, but Foster moves over into scoring position with 2 men out, and that'll bring up big old Sam Rice. Sam Rice is 29 years old, sort of in the height of his game. Rice was a major star player, and there are a lot of stories about him to tell. There's a ground ball over to the right side, though, and it'll be Burns, the first baseman, fielding that and flipping over to Perry for the out. And so we go to the top of the second inning. And so that's the way that this goes. Sometimes it's a little bit quick pace, sometimes a little bit slower. George Burns comes up now. Burns, the hitter for the Athletics, and you have to be careful you don't confuse him with the other George Burns that was with the New York Giants. He swings and misses. There's a strike. So they had two men in the league with exactly the same name, and one in each league, rather. They used to call this George Burns the Tioga kid, or Tioga George. There's a ground ball through the hole, the left side, and a base hit for Burns, and that'll bring up Whitey Witt. So Burns gets his base hit, and there goes Tioga George over to first. And that will bring up Witt. Witt, of course, famous for his time with the New York Yankees. It was before the Murderers Row Yankees. But when you go back to 1919, he's only a 23-year-old kid. Ladislaw Valdemar Vitkovsky was Witt's birth name. He changed it for box score reasons. And there was a strike into Witt from Johnson, 0-1. Witt went to the Athletics straight out of high school. There was a ball to him, 1-1. And he was one of those Sandlot kids, Connie Mack loved to sign them. And this is lined the other way to left field. That's a base hit. And Burns has to stop over at second as Shanks goes and fields that one. So runners on at first and second now. It'll be Fred Thomas coming up. Thomas comes from, how do you say this name? Mukwonago, I think it is, a little bit south of Milwaukee. He joined a team over in Fond du Lac, somewhere in the low minor leagues after high school. 26 years old, so this was all years before. Previously had played with the Red Sox, and he takes the ball outside. So Johnson having a hard time with his control. 1-0 the count. There's a bunt attempt, and Agnew, the catcher, has that one and throws over to Janvrin covering the bag at first, and there's an out, and both of the runners move up. So they had Thomas bunting all the way, and with one out, there are 2 men in scoring position, and here comes Joe Dugan. Now, if you're not used to it, you got to get used to this with 1919. Lots of bunts. The only power hitter in either league, in honesty, was Babe Ruth. A lot of bunting going on, a lot of plays like that. And so you wonder if you don't want to have the infield in, and that's probably what we're going to do here. Dugan swings and misses. It's 0-1. Joe Dugan, 22 years old, another youngster with the Athletics, and you'll get used to that. Jumpin' Joe is what they called him as he fouls this one off of Agnew's shin guards. It's 0-2. He had a habit of bailing on the team after a bad game, which is why they call him Jumpin' Joe. A little swinging bunt over to short. Burns is going home. Shortstop Davis fields this one, and I think we're just going to have him go to first with it. And Burns does come in to score. Davis throws to first for the out. The Athletics with a 1-0 lead, and Witt is stuck on second. So 2 men out, and here comes Cy Perkins, and Joe Dugan got it done. Dugan, of course, another player who ended up with the Yankees. That kind of lets you know the role the Athletics played for the lean years. And so that'll bring up Cy Perkins, the catcher. Perkins, again, 23 years old. You're noticing a pattern here, and he bounces this one over Johnson's head, and that's a base hit into center field, a little squeeze job in between Davis and Janvrin, and Perkins gets the RBI, and it's a 2-0 lead now for the Athletics, and Walter Johnson's starting to hurt. Now here comes that pitcher, Scott Perry, so we'll see what Johnson does with him. Ground ball into the hole. Davis fields that one, and he throws over to Janvrin at second, but not in time. They call this a jump throw to second, so apparently that ball must have knuckled on him a little bit, and it was a great attempt there by Davis, but not quite enough, and now the Senators really in some trouble as it's Red Shannon once again. So Washington having a hard time with his infield. Shannon now takes the strike, 0-1, and this gives you an example of where even the best pitcher might have some struggles sometimes because of the infield. It's down and away, and it's swung on and missed by Shannon. 0-2 now the count, and here comes Walter again. And this is fouled off the fist over behind first base, and it'll be the first baseman there making the catch for the out that's going to be Judge, and that does it. So much for Red Shannon, and we go to the bottom of the second inning, but it's a 2-0 lead here for the Athletics. And it'll be Howie Shanks leading this one off. Shanks, 28 years old, came on as a rookie with Washington in 1912, and that's one of the things you'll notice here as we go through these players. There's the pitch up and into him. Monica, Pennsylvania is where he's from, and big reward to you if you know where in the world Monica is. 1-1 now the count on him. He was in the minor leagues when he was 19 back in 1910. And Pittsburgh Pirates were looking at him, but didn't want him because he had tuberculosis. They called it consumption back then, or that's what he was diagnosed with, but he didn't. He apparently got over it, so he ended up being okay. Actually had a fairly nice major league career. 2-1 now the count on Howie, and there's a swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. And there's strike 3 on the outside half of the plate. So Perry gets his first strikeout, and there's one away. That'll bring up Hal Jandren. Hal Jandren had played for the Red Sox for years, and now here's the interesting story for you. So Jandren also had to deal with illness in early 1919. He had pneumonia in spring training, but he got better here by late April. Jandren was part of a trade that got rid of Eddie Einsmith. Einsmith was the guy who usually was Walter Johnson's catcher. He wound up with Detroit, and then there were a couple players. There was a player whose name I've forgotten that went over to Boston as part of this three-team deal. Jandren takes the ball. It's 1-0, and there's a strike. The big question, of course, is so the Senators had to go over and get Agnew. But the big question is whether picking up Sam Agnew actually helped the team or not. So you'll have to see what happens to Johnson. 1-1 pitch, and that's hit over to right field. It'll be Brago Roth grabbing that one for the out, 2 away. That'll bring up here Ike Davis. Davis, 24 years old and a rookie in 1919. He was, kind of, I guess, sort of a minor star in the minor leagues from Pueblo, Colorado. And he fouls this one up over to the left side. And it'll be Thomas, the third baseman, going over and making the catch for the out. And so that takes us over to the top of the third. The reason why I bring up this story about Eddie Einsmith and Sam Agnew is because I always wonder how much of pitching is really the catcher and what happens when a great pitcher has a catcher he's not familiar with. Well, here it's not helping Walter. He's down 2-0, and there's a ball to Merlin Kopp. 1-0 now the count here on Kopp. 27-year-old Kopp, and he takes a strike in the inside part of the plate. 1-1 now the count. And there's a ball 2-1. I've always think that it's remarkable when any of these players are with their teams for almost all of 1918, like Kopp was. Fly ball over to center. It'll be Clyde Milan grabbing that for the out, and there's one away. Here comes Brago Roth. So Roth, of course, very, very fast player, but he had his problems back when he was in his heyday. There's a ball inside to him, 1-0. When Roth was with Cleveland, he got in trouble once. There was a game over in St. Louis. There was a bottle that came out of the crowd, and Roth picked it up, threw it back. There's a line drive over to center field, but Milan played him perfectly, and there's the second out. Roth hit that one on the button, has nothing to show for it. So 2 away, and that'll bring up again Tioga George. So Tioga George had hit about 300 for Sioux City back in 1913. That's when the Tigers went over and got him. There's a long drive deep to center field. Milan goes back, but that's staying in here at this ballpark. Griffith Stadium, absolutely huge. And so we go to the bottom of the third inning, and it's still a 2-0 ball game. I'll have to tell you more about Tioga George here in a second. So here comes Agnew. Sam Agnew, as I mentioned, had pitched with had caught with the Red Sox before. In fact, he caught both of Babe Ruth's World Series wins in 1918. He takes a strike here from Perry, 0-1. There's another strike in the inside part, 0-2. Interesting thing about Agnew is that he was part of a big brawl on June 30th, 1916, where the Red Sox played the Senators. And what did he do? He went and punched Clark Griffith in the face. This is hit deep to right field, and Roth goes back and grabs that one for the out. There's one away. Here's Walter Johnson. And why was that important? Well, Clark Griffith happened to be owning the Senators in 1919 when he went and signed Sam Agnew. There's a strike to Johnson, 0-1. So apparently the punch must have impressed him. Ground ball to short. Dugan has that on to first, and there's 2 away. Here comes Joe Judge again. Joe Judge, by the way, if you don't know this, originally from New York, born in Brooklyn, and grew up in Manhattan. So one of the city slickers in a game dominated by country boys. There's the ball to Judge, 1-0. And there's a ball inside to him, 2-0 now. Get over to right center field, and that one drops in there for a hit. Roth takes a bad angle on that one, gets behind him, goes to the wall. Judge, not a fast runner, only able to get to second base. That's what happens when you have a guy hitting leadoff who's not all that fast, I suppose, but he's up there standing at second base right now, and here comes Eddie Foster again. Foster so far today, 1 for 1. The Senators looking to do something to get back in this ball game. Hit over to the right side and up into the seats and foul by Foster, 0-1. Foster came up originally in 1910 with the Highlanders, so he would have been about 23. Fly ball over to center, and Witt has that for the out, and that does it, and we go to the top of the fourth. Foster, an interesting player because he showed he could hit when he ended up going to Washington for 1912. But before then, nobody had any idea he could do much with anything. Didn't do much there, though, so we go to the top of the fourth. Whitey Witt back up there now, takes a ball, 1-0. And there's another ball as Johnson just missed. Walter having a real hard time with the control today. 2-0 now the count. Witt, by the way, spent most of 1918 in the military. It's not clear which branch he was in. There's a strike, and it's 2-1. Witt originally was actually a shortstop, and he came back from the military. They sent him to the outfield, so he lost something. A little ground ball over to second. Johnson tried for that, couldn't get it. Janvrin got it, but didn't have time to get the speedy Witt out at first. And so it's a real old-school style infield single there for Whitey Witt, and that'll bring up Fred Thomas. And the Athletics now have 5 hits off the big train. So Barney not exactly doing the best job. They call him Barney in the newspapers. There's a little line drive over to short center field. It's more of a sort of mini pop-up there by Thomas, and that one lands safely. And the Athletics now with runners on first and second and nobody out here in the top of the fourth inning. And so once again, it'll be Joe Dugan. We'll see if he ends up bunting or not. We'll pull the infield in on the corners. And there's a bunt, but foul in the dirt. 0-1 the count on Dugan. And that's lined off the bat, but foul. It's 0-2. Athletics playing hit and run, and there's a ball high. 1-2 the count on Dugan. It's popped over to the right side. That's going to be an infield fly rule, and Janvrin ends up making the catch. It doesn't really matter who catches that, and so there's one out. And that once again brings up Cy Perkins. So Perkins, interesting story about him. Cy had a problem earlier in his career pulling the ball to left. And he was taught in situations like this to instead go the other way with it as he takes a strike, 0-1. Connie Mack tried to teach him when he had a runner on second base to go the other way with it. 0-1 pitch, we'll see what he does. And it's grounded to the right side, there it is. And Janvrin makes the play at first base, both runners move up. Just as I told you, so Perkins figured out how to go the other way, 2 men out. Of course, it doesn't do much good when you got the pitcher up next. We'll see what Scott Perry can do. He's 1 for 1 in this game. Maybe he has more luck. He had the infield hit last time up, and there's a strike in there from Johnson, 0-1. Real small ball here today. That's fouled back. It's 0-2. Just missed. Good pitch, but just missed. 1-2 now on Perry. And that's high and tight, so 2-2. And Johnson's got to be careful. Don't want to make the opposing pitcher too upset. And that one just misses again. It's a full count. This is, again, uncharacteristic of the big train. And he went around that time, and there he goes down with strike 3. And so we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. It will be Scott Perry going back out there, and he'll face Milan again here to lead this off. Clyde Milan, they called him Deerfoot. Deerfoot comes from Linden, Tennessee. And there's a ball into Milan, 1-0. Linden, Tennessee, which is named after a poem by Thomas Campbell called Hohenlinden, which is an old anti-war poem, interestingly enough. This is foul back, 1-1. And it's so appropriate, I think, for the beginning of the 1919 season with the end of the war. This is hit over to right center field. That'll be a base hit, and Milan sort of celebrates into the war with a base hit. He's 1 for 1 now today, and that'll bring up Sam Rice. Rice 0 for 1 so far. Of course, Milan last time up had bunted, so we'll see what Rice can do. Sam Rice is sort of 300 or better hitter most of his career. Hall of Famer, as you probably know. Throw back to first and nothing happening. And there's a ball. Sam Rice, original name was, let's see if I can find it here in my notes. I have a lot of notes on Sam Rice. His original name was Edgar. I know that. Edgar Charles Rice, that's right. 1-0 pitch comes to him. That's outside for ball 2, 2-0. They called him Sam when he made the major leagues because they didn't know, someone forgot his name, so they called him whatever they wanted. This is low, and it's 3-0 now on Rice. Rice has an interesting story with his name. I'll tell you this probably in a second. It's fouled away, 3-1. Rice was sort of a star pitcher over in the Illinois, Indiana area. And there's a little grounder over to Dugan, and Dugan fields it, tries to go to second for the force of Milan, and pulls Shannon off the bag. As a poor throw there by Joe Dugan. Everybody's safe, and that'll be an error there on Dugan, and that will bring up Howie Shanks. So I'll tell you more about Sam Rice and his story with the Galesburg pavers and some of the other interesting things that happened. And here comes Shanks again. Shanks again from Monica, Pennsylvania. Struck out last time up and fouls this one to the left side, 0-1. And there's a ball inside, 1-1 now the count. This is hit over to a shallow left field, but Kopp is there in time for the out, and there's one away, and that'll bring up Hal Janvrin. You've got to wonder if it wouldn't have been better for Shanks to bunt, but with Janvrin coming up, we probably should bunt with him. Janvrin, by the way, was a star athlete over in high school, which is why the Red Sox signed him. But he had a couple problems with the Red Sox. He couldn't hit. And so he's going to bunt here back to Perry, and Perry's only play supposedly first base. He probably had to play on Milan over a third, but goes back to first with it instead, and there are 2 men out. That brings up the rookie Ike Davis. So yeah, Janvrin had some run-ins with the crowd there over in Boston because he couldn't hit. Really good fielder, poor hitter. And here comes Davis. Davis takes a strike, 0-1. And that's up, and that's a strike. So good pitch there by Perry. It's 0-2 now on Ike. High and inside, and that straightens him up there. 1-2 now. It's hit over to Shannon, the second baseman, fields and goes to first for the out, and that does it, and we go to the top of the 5th inning. So a little bit of excitement, but quiet so far, at least for the home team, and it'll be Maurice Red Shannon once again. Red Shannon, I'll tell you what, his first game came in 1915, October 7th. There's a ball low and outside to him, 1-0. 300 people at Braves Field showed up for his first game. And it lasted 1 hour, 2 minutes, if you can believe that. There's a strike to him, 1-1. There were 41 hits in that game, and the final score was 15-8. I'm not sure how it was possible to do that in 1 hour and 2 minutes, but that's what the paper says. And there's a little squibber towards the third base side. It'll be Walter Johnson coming off the mound for that, and he throws over to first base. You can see lanky old Walter Johnson with that long delivery to first and gets him by a hair. There's one away, and that'll bring up again Merlin Kopp. Merlin Kopp, the former senator, takes the strike, 0-1. He's 0 for 2 today. There's a ball wide to him, 1-1. There's a ball high and outside to him, 2-1 now the count. That's way outside, 3-1 now on Merlin. So Walter Johnson having some control problems. Again, he hasn't walked anyone yet. He's been behind on hitters. There's the strike, full count now on Kopp. It's hit over to the left side of the third baseman, Foster, but he gets over to that one easily, throws to first for the out. And there are 2 men out, and up once again is Brago Roth. Brago Roth, that cost Connie Mack 3 players to get him, and there's a ball to him, 1-0. Everybody in the American League wanted Brago Roth at the end of 1918 because he could hit for extra bases and steal a lot. 1-1 now the count. And of course he was a hot dog. That's why they called him Brago. This is fouled away, 1-2. Big chopper over to third. Foster gets the short hop, throws to first for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 5th. It's still a 2-0 game, kind of a slow-moving game here for you. I guess it probably would be quick moving if I did play-by-play without commentary. There's a strike to Sam Agnew, 0-1. And there's a half swing, and he did go around, 0-2. Agnew never really known much for his bat. And the 0-2 pitch comes into him from Perry, and there's one that misses. 1-2 now the count on him. And this is fouled away. So it remains 1-2. And this is fouled away, 1-2. You probably have never heard of Sam Agnew. You know, after 1919, he ended up no longer playing in the majors, but he wound up in the Pacific Coast League with the San Francisco Seals. It's high, it's 2-2. He was there for 8 years, and remember, he's 32 years old here, so he was the old man of baseball back then. Fouled away to the left side. Thomas runs out of room trying to grab that one, so it remains 2-2 here on Agnew. Of course, that's all in the future. It's fortune-telling by now for us. This is fouled away again, so Agnew up there battling away against Perry. 2-2 pitch, and that misses high. It's a full count now on Agnew. And that's fouled away, so it remains full. Lunged for and fouled back. Agnew with a desperation swing. Diamond Mine Baseball is kind of famous for this. Some people like it, some people don't. And this is low, and Agnew swings and misses, and down he goes. So he made Perry work, but Perry got his second strikeout. There's one away, and here comes Walter Johnson again. He takes a strike, 0-1. That's way inside, 1-1. Johnson, of course, as you probably know, originally from Humboldt, Kansas. Grew up doing farm work and got his strength up there, and then went with his parents to California Hit to the left side, foul, 1-2. His dad worked for the Santa Fe Oil Company. Johnson started to pitch for the company team, and that's how people found out about him. Fouled away. It's still 1-2 on Johnson. Johnson started playing semi-pro ball for a team in Weiser, Idaho, with a population of about 2,000. That's what the game was like back then. Ground ball to second. It'll be Shannon fielding that one. Throws to first for the out. 2 away. And here comes Joe Judge. So there's a ball inside to Judge. So for Johnson, wasn't quite like Lefty Grove playing in Baltimore all those years. He was in Weiser, Idaho. Fouled away. It's 1-1 on Judge. As soon as Johnson found out he was going to D.C. in 1907, he demanded that he had a train ticket bought for him to go back to California in case he didn't make it. Fouled away, 1-2. It took him a long time before he had to use that ticket, I'll tell you that. Ground ball over to third base. Fred Roberts grabs that and goes to first for the out, and we'll go to the top of the 6th inning. So once again, it's Tioga George coming up here for the Athletics. George 1 for 2 today, scored a run. And there's a ball, my apologies, that's a strike, called low, but it's a strike, 0-1. Hit deep to left, but not deep enough. It'll be Shanks making the catch for the out, 1 away, and that'll bring up Whitey Witt. Now, if you're a student of sort of the strategy of the game, you can probably see by now why there's so much bunting and hitting and running. You don't have any offense. There's a strike to Witt, 0-1. Just getting a base runner's precious. Is fouled away by Witt, 0-2 now. There's a ball inside and tie, 1-2. And that's a little bit too far inside, 2-2, as Johnson misses his spot once again. He's having a hard time. He misses again. It's a full count now on Witt. The other thing is nobody walks, nobody strikes out. Let's hit over to right field, and it'll be Sam Rice over there making the catch for the out, and there's 2 away. And once again, it's going to be Fred Thomas. And it's grounded past the mound, past Davis, and a base hit. The rookie Davis having a real hard time over there at short. So I'll tell you what, while you're looking, if you're looking at this screen, you can see is this PR E31. The E31 will make sense to you if you know about Stratomatic, if you're playing it, because Diamond Mine uses kind of the same system. PR means poor, so everybody's got a rating from poor up to excellent, and poor is pretty bad. Here comes Joe Dugan. It's fouled away. It's 0-1 now on Dugan. Diamond Mine, a lot like Stratomatic. There's a fly ball over to center. Milan has that catch for the out. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. We'll have to tell you a little bit more about that as we go along and as this project goes along. It'll be Eddie Foster here for the Senators leading it off at the bottom of the 6th. Foster so far today 1 for 2. Fouls this one off of his foot. It's 0-1. And that's fouled to the right side. 0-2 now the count. Foster fouls this one away, still 0-2. He's sort of your old-style ball player, always a solid hitter, shows up all the time, never a major star. Fouls this one away again, 0-2. But just very consistent. There's a ball off the plate. That's high. It's 2-2 now on Eddie. Hit over to right field. Roth turns around on that one a little bit, but he straightens up and makes the catch for the out, not too dizzy. There's 1 away, and here comes Clyde Milan. There's a pitch off the plate for a ball, 1-0. Linden, Tennessee, as I mentioned before. Son of a blacksmith was Milan. Linden had 700 people when he grew up there. There's a strike, 1-1 now in Milan. Don't think that it grew much because it's still under 1,000 a day if you go over to Linden, Tennessee, over in western Tennessee. There's a ball to Milan, 2-1. I don't know if anybody there remembers this guy. Ground ball over to short. Dugan fields it, throws to first for the out, and there are 2 away, and here again comes Sam Rice. I told you about Sam Rice and the Galesburg Pavers. He was a pitcher back in those days. If you look in the papers, they called him Frank. I don't know why. Fouled straight back, 0-1 on Rice. So Rice had a family. He had his parents. They were all together for a little while back when he was playing for Galesburg against the Monmouth Browns. He pitched well that day, but a tornado came and destroyed his parents' house and killed his parents and his family members. And there's a single over past Shannon at second base, and Rice gets his first base hit of the season, and that'll bring up Howie Shanks. Interesting thing there about Rice, after he lost his family, ended up for a while in the Navy, then went back to the U.S. for baseball, and then eventually made it to the major leagues. He ended up marrying again in 1920, by which time he was a star. There's a ball to Shanks, 1-0. And he never told his wife Edith about the family he used to have. I think he had 2 children, never said a word about it. There's a strike, 1-1. Well, Edith passed away eventually in 1957, He married another girl maybe a year or two later. And she's the one who finally found out that he had originally a completely different family that was destroyed by the tornado. 2-1 now the count on Shanks. Can you imagine that for Sam Rice to go through life and to just never talk about something like that? There's another ball low, 3-1. So, not all of us are that easy about talking about bad things that happen, emotions and stuff, but you probably want to talk about something like that. Fouled away by Shanks. It's a full count now. Rice with the lead off of first. This is blooped over to shallow left, and Kopp gets there in time for the out, and that'll do it when we go to the top of the seventh. Still 2-0 Athletics. It'll be Cy Perkins, the catcher, up there. And there comes that voice over the, it says here, I think the loudspeakers is what it's telling me here in the play-by-play. Yeah, from the center field loudspeaker. Actually, in 1919, they had one of those like cone-shaped type of loudspeakers. There was no electronic system in the ballpark back then. Perkins takes a strike and a little ground ball over to third. Foster fields that and goes to first for the out, 1 away. And here comes the pitcher's Perry again. Perry's 1 for 2 today with that miracle scratch single. Takes a strike and fouls one back. It's 0-2 on him. And there's a swing and a miss, and down he goes. And so that'll bring up Red Shannon once again. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the Athletics here in the top of the seventh with 2 men out. Senators have no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. There's a ball outside to Shannon, 1-0. Little ground ball over to Janvrin. The second baseman fields it, throws to first for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And it will be Hal Janvrin up there, as usual. Make a good play in the field, they'll let you lead off. So, in real life, this game had 15,000 people in the crowd. There's a strike called to Janvrin, 0-1. Gives you an idea that the American people were ready to move on from the war and to go back to civilian life. This is fouled up over to the right side. Burns dives for that one, but it's just out of his reach. 0-2 now the count on Janvrin. It's hit over to left field, but Kopp is there once again for the out, 1 away, and here comes that rookie Ike Davis. Big news of this day in 1919. There's a ball inside to Davis, 1-0. The big news going on was the cry for more victory bonds is what they called it, the continuation of the war bonds. There's a strike to Davis, 1-1. So the government's still trying to figure out how to fund the war it just won. Fouled away, it's 1-2. Meanwhile, the president was out talking with part of the war negotiations. There's a little ground ball over to the third base line, and Perry ends up making the play instead of Thomas, and he throws to first, and that one's low and gets by George Burns. Davis ends up at second base, and Perry with the big error, second error of the game for the Athletics, and this is what we call a chance. So this will bring up Sam Agnew, and here's where it becomes a little bit difficult. So you don't really want to bunt here with Agnew, I would think. The problem is you have Johnson coming up, and Walter hasn't pitched that well, but I don't think you take him out. So we'll swing away with Agnew. That's a ball low and away, 1-0. You got to hope that Perry makes a mistake. That misses high and outside. It's 2-0 now on Sam. Hit to right center field, and Witt crossing over there, but Roth cuts him off, and it gets in between him. So that gets between Witt and Roth. Around comes Davis to score, and Agnew, the catcher of all people, is in at third base with a triple. And so I'm not sure who to blame for that one. Roth looked like he was going to get it. Witt probably should have had it as the center fielder. Poor communication out there. And that's what happens when you've got the new man over in right field. So Roth not exactly doing the best of jobs here, and probably going to give Connie Mack gray hairs, as he gave up a lot of people, 3 different players, to get the man. And he's not doing the job. Now, we'll look up Agnew because you can do this in the game, and this is one of those special times. Sam Agnew had 0 triples in real life in 1919, but he has one here in the replay. So Agnew doing now in this game what never happened in real life. Hopefully you pay attention to that one, and you kind of have to bunt. So we're going to do a safety squeeze. And there's a ball inside to Johnson, 1-0. Try it again. It's a bunt in the air, and it falls just foul. That would have been a big coup there for the Athletics if it had stayed up in the air long enough. 1-1 now the count. And there's a ball inside. 2-1 now on Johnson. They'll try it again. Bunted towards first, and Burns grabs it, looking at the plate, but all he can do is tag Johnson for the out. So Agnew fast enough to overcome the fact that it was not the do-or-die squeeze and ends up scoring anyway, and we have a brand new ball game as it's a 2-2 game here in the bottom of the 7th, and that'll bring up Joe Judge once again. And he holds up in time with that pitch. It's 1-0 on him. It's fouled into Perkins' mitt, 1-1. That's laced over the head of Roth. Another poor play in the outfield by Roth. Brago Roth has really had an odd game there in right field, and that's going to be a double for Judge. A ball that if Roth was playing right probably should have been caught, so that'll bring up Eddie Foster. Foster today is 1 for 3. Judge now 2 for 4. There's a ground ball over to the right side. Shannon digs that one out and throws to first for the out, so that prevents the Senators from poking out that lead. But it's a 2-2 ball game, and we got a brand new game for you. Here comes Merlin Kopp once again. Kopp's 0 for 3. Fouled one off of his foot. It's 0-1. And that is a ball low, 1-1. Johnson having a hard time with that control, and there's one inside. 2-1 now the count. There's a swing and a miss by Kopp that evens it up. Ground ball to third. Foster backs up, backhands it, throws to first in time. Excellent play by the good third baseman. So there's one away. And here he comes again, Brago Roth. Roth known for making the flashy catches when he doesn't need to, but today hasn't made any of the catches. There's a ground ball too short, and it's Davis making the easy play going to first, 2 away. So Burns, I mentioned before, had an interesting story about him. Tioga Burns, once upon a time in August 1915 for the Tigers, hit a foul ball over in, I think it was in Fenway Park. The foul ball had the coat pocket of a fan who had matches in it. A little ground ball over to Foster. Third baseman throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 8th. I'll tell you this story. So there was a bit of matches in the pocket of the coat. The matches caught fire after the ball and kind of lit the man on fire. So Burns had the ability to definitely hit one of those smoking line drives. And here comes Clyde Milan in the bottom of the 8th inning. Milan digs the ball 1-0. A little ground ball down the first base line, but foul. 1-1 now. This is lifted foul. Perkins can't get there. 1-2 on Milan. Ground ball to second. Shannon grabs that, throws over to first for the out. There's one away, and here comes the big man, Sam Rice. Rice 1 for 3. Rice really was a great hitter back in the early 20s. Takes the strike, 0-1. I'm not sure what the sabermetrics say about his Hall of Fame credentials, but normal people who used to follow the game the old-fashioned way would like it. There's a ground ball over to first base. Burns fields it and goes to the bag, 2 away. And here now is Howie Shanks. Shanks takes the ball, 1-0. That's inside, underneath his elbows, 2-0 now the count. Fouled, first base line, but foul. 2-1 on Howie. And that's a ball below the knees. 3-1 now the count. That's inside and him, but he swung on and fouled that away. So it is a full count now on Shanks. And there's ball 4. So Perry, the first pitcher to blink. First walk issued of the whole game here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and that'll bring up with 2 outs Hal Jandren. Jandren, not the man you want to have up there in this situation. Throw to first base. Shanks dives back and just gets back in time. He was leaning. Another throw to first. He wasn't leaning that time. Another calling card out there. And another throw to first. So Perry thinks he might have him. Pitch to Jandren, and that's a strike. A little bit excessive with the throws to first with 2 men out, if you ask me. That's shattered bat. Has to get a new one, and that's into the stands, 0-2. A ground ball down the first base line, foul. That's another one here, all the broken bats, because this game Diamond Mine made mostly in the mid-90s, late 90s, and so on. It's a little bit different from the game in 1919. 1-2 now on Jandren. Fouled away. There's a ball inside, 2-2. You probably wondered to yourself, well, you know, if the game's not really made for the Deadball Era, why play the Deadball Era? Sort of as an experiment to see what happens, and, you know, it's a fun game to play anyway. There's a ball to Jandren. It's a full count on him. And it's a pop-up to short. It'll be Dugan who has that for the out, and we go on to the 9th inning, still a 2-2 tie. Here for the Athletics, Whitey Witt. Witt 2 for 3 today. Ground ball to first, and Judge does it himself for the out, 1 away. Here comes Fred Thomas. There's a strike to Thomas, 0-1. And that one just misses. 1-1 now the count on Thomas. And he holds up on time for that. 2-1 now. There's ball 3 inside, so Johnson in danger of walking one. There's a ground ball down the third base side. Foster fields that one one-handed and throws over to first in time for the out, and there are 2 away. And here again comes Jumpin' Joe. Joe's going to be hopping mad. He's 0 for 3. He takes a strike, 0-1. He did drive one in, though. There's a ball up and in on him, 1-1. And a swing and a miss down at that pitch down and in, 1-2. So there's a ball outside, 2-2. Dugan, of course, the shortstop, not exactly part of the $100,000 infield that Connie Mack had just a couple years earlier. Fouled away by Dugan, and it's 2-2 still. And that's way outside, and so Walter in danger once again. Full count, here's the pitch, and got him on the outside corner, strike 3. And so we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Ike Davis, and then Sam Agnew, and then Johnson, who probably will hit for himself. Here's Davis, who takes a strike inside. He's 0 for 3, but he was on an error last time. Another strike down the middle, 0-2. You can see, by the way, Ike Davis, a bunch of nothing. In real life, he had a grand total of 14 at-bats. In fact, if you look at his secondary stats, here, he's 14 plate appearances, too. He didn't do a lot to endear himself. There's a ball high to Ike, 1-2. That's a little bit high by Perry. 2-2 now the count. Fouled straight back. Remains 2-2. Ground ball to the right side. Shannon has that one on to first for the out, 1 away, and here comes Sam Agnew. So tie ball game, bottom of the 9th, 2-2, and here's Agnew hoping to get another chance to be a hero. That big triple last time takes the ball, 1-0. That scored 1. It's way outside. It's 2-0. There's ball 3 on Agnew. Perry doesn't want a piece of him. There's that strike on the outside corner, 3-1. And there's ball 4, and that was also outside, and the umpire didn't give Perry the call, rather. So here comes Johnson with 1 out. This is a great situation for Walter. He's going to be bunting. It was the bunt that tied the game. Walter bunts this one down straight back to Perry, who turns and throws to Dugan for the force at second. And so that completely fails, and that'll bring up Joe Judge. Walter Johnson tries to move the runner over and ends up getting him thrown out. And here comes Joe Judge, and we'll see if that hurts the Senators or not. So 2 men out, runner on at first. There's a little pop-up over to the behind the plate, now to play. 0-1 on Judge. That's chopped away off of his foot. It's 0-2 on Joe. Hit over to center field, a little bit over to left field side. Witt goes over and grabs that for the out, and we're going to the top of the 10th. Be Perkins, maybe Perry, and then Shannon. We'll see how long they stick with Perry. Walter Johnson, so you know here, 97 pitches is all. We're starting the 10th. Fouled away by Perkins, 0-1. He hasn't struck out many, but he's definitely hanging in there. Ball in the dirt. No swing, they rule, 1-1. Low and away, and it's 2-1 on Cy Perkins. Ground ball, third base, Foster to first for the out, 1 away. And here comes Scott Perry, and he does hit for himself. Perry takes the strike. Just so you know, this game in real life went in 13 innings. It was a 1-0 victory for the Senators, and both pitchers went all 13 innings. How about that? There's a ball outside to Perry. It's a 1-1. And the GOAT of the game was almost certainly Joe Dugan, because 2 of the 3 singles that came in the bottom of the 13th inning were hit to Dugan. Line drive by Perry over to the left side. Foster snags that for the out, and there's 2 away, and here comes Red Shannon. Ground ball to the right of Johnson. It'll be Janvrin who fields that one, and Maurice out at first base, and he's going to have to forget about it. So for the Senators in the bottom of the 10th, it's going to be Foster, Milan, and Rice. Not exactly murderer's row again, but they can get on base. There's a ball high to Eddie, 1-0. Strike in the outside corner, 1-1. That's way off the plate, 2-1 now. Perry, a real workhorse. It's this one to deep right field. Roth goes back, running back, and makes a good catch over there at that big wall in right field. There's 1 away. 31 feet high, by the way, is that wall. 1 away, and here comes Clyde Milan. The ball low to Milan, 1-0. Line to right field, foul ball, 1-1. So Scott Perry, give you an idea here. Only 182 innings in real life, but then again, he only started 21 games. And that was really the end of his career, to be honest with you. The Athletics were awful. This is a pitch that misses. 2-1 now in Milan. Remember, Perry, 332 innings in 1918. That wasn't even a full season. 2-2 now. Hit to right center field. Roth, Witt, both going back. It'll be Witt making the catch for the out. There's 2 away, and here comes Sam Rice. Rice, so far, 1 for 4. Little ground ball to third, and Fred Thomas picks that one up, throws the first for the out, and we go to the top of the 11th. Not Frank Thomas. It'd be nice to have him here. We'd have a little bit more offense. Merlin Kopp in the top of the 11th takes a strike, 0-1. Interesting thing, though, I think the league average in 1919 about 263 or so. There's another strike, 0-2 on Kopp. Swing and a miss, and down he goes, and there's 1 away. Here now is Bragel Roth. You got to realize that the league average actually was pretty high. There was just no home runs is the difference. Roth hits a little line drive up, but it's off the fist, and it'll be Davis making the easy play. 2 away, and that'll bring up George Burns. So Tioga George fouls 1 away. Fouls another 1 away, and it's 0-2. Not sure if anyone's lapel caught fire with that. Fouled that one off barely. 0-2 still on George. And he swings and misses, and down he goes. And Johnson's getting better as the innings go on. We go to the bottom of the 11th, and it will be Howie Shanks leading this off for Washington. There's a strike on the outside corner to Shanks, 0-1. Line to the gap in right field. Roth on his horse, but can't get there. He dove, almost caught it, and they said that was trapped. So Roth almost makes a spectacular play to redeem himself, but Shanks is aboard, and Janvrin's going to bunt. Everybody in the ballpark knows exactly what's coming next. Throw to first base, and it's high. Burns grabs it, but Shanks back in time. There's a sacrifice on as the pitch comes in. Perry fields it. All he can do is flip over to Shannon, the second base covering at first, and that'll bring up Ike Davis, the rookie. So Davis here has scored a run. He's 0 for 4. Again, a lot of zeros there in real life, and he takes the ball high and inside, 1-0. Didn't play for the Senators long, so you better pay attention to him. There's a strike, 1-1. If you're keeping score, you better save the score sheet, because we might need it in 100 years or so. 1-2 now, the count on Davis. There's the ball, 2-2. Line to the left side, but just foul. 2-2 it remains. Popped up in foul ground. Thomas can't get there. Still 2-2 on Davis. Lined over third, but just foul. Davis trying to win this game by sending them home with a base hit. Perry out almost 160 pitches. This is hit over to the left side. Thomas had to move in to play it. His only play, first base. Shanks moves over to third. And here comes Sam Agnew. So Agnew today, 1 for 3 with a big triple. 2 men out, bottom of the 11th, runner on a third. There's a strike in there to him, 0-1. That's pop, foul, and out of play. 0-2 now on Agnew. And that's going to be high. 1-2 now the count on him. Hit over to center field, and Roth makes the catch. And Witt and Roth had no communication out there. They almost collided. Roth somehow makes that catch in the end. And we are going to the top of the 12th inning. Apologies for that. We're going to the top of the 12th. And you knew that something like this was going to come here today. So we have another one of these extra inning games. It'll be Whitey Witt leading this off for the Athletics. Popped up over to the left side, and Davis goes back a little bit for that one, but makes the catch for the out, 1 away. Walter Johnson still looking strong. Here's Fred Thomas, and he takes a ball low, 1-0. He's 2 for 3. One of the few players with more than one hit off of the big train. There's another ball to him. And he went around on that one. They ruled 2-1. Imagine being Fred Thomas. You can tell your kids about the time you faced the greatest of all time, Walter Johnson. That's fouled away, and it's 2-2. And he went after that one, is what they ruled. That looked like that was outside, but nope, they gave the strikeout to Johnson, who has struck out 6 now. There's 2 away, and here comes Joe Dugan. I mentioned a little while ago that Walter looked like he was getting stronger as time went on, and he definitely is. There's a ball inside on Dugan, 1-0. Popped up on the infield is that one, and it'll be Judge making the catch for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 12th, and this is the game that won't end. So 2 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for the Athletics, 2 runs, 7 hits, and no errors for the Senators. Washington couldn't take advantage of all of those errors. There's a strike to Johnson. Johnson's over 3, but bunted in a run earlier. Nobody to bunt inside this time, so he takes the ball. There's a little drive to center field. Witt goes back on that one, and he has it in his hands, and he drops it. Johnson, running the whole way, is able to make second base. That's error number 3 on the Athletics, and that's a major, major miscue. And here comes Joe Judge. And now you've got to ask yourself, well, do you keep Walter Johnson out there running? Do you take a chance and put in a pinch runner? Does it even matter at this point in time? So lots of different decisions to be made. The Senators, of course, have a whole bunch of players here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 men on the bench. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential pitchers. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus the 9 you have out there now, so that's 23. That's more than the 21 that was supposedly the limit. On the bases, as far as runners concerned, we do have a couple. Probably Garrity would be our best bet if we wanted to go that way, but I think we're going to leave the big train out there in case something strange happens. Here's Joe Judge, and they're going to walk him intentionally to set up the double play, and that means it's time for Eddie Foster. Now, in this case, Foster, normally I'm not sure you would necessarily want to bunt with him, but in this case we will. We'll try to bunt the runners over and give us 2 chances to drive them in. As bunted left side down the third base line, but foul. 0-1 on Foster. And that's a little bit high. 1-1 now the count. That's a good bunt. Perry, the pitcher, fields that. Has to go to Burns at first for the out. Burns had to backtrack on that one, and the runners move up. So there's 1 away, and here's Clyde Milan, and I've got to guess that they're going to end up walking Milan, try to set up the double play. Yep. That's what's happening. So they give up the free pass, and it's going to be Jimmy Dykes coming into this game playing third, and the new pitcher will be Walt Kinney. Jimmy Dykes, the young 22-year-old Jimmy Dykes. I suppose he was on the roster at this time. I'm not sure. I haven't done the research, so I'll trust them for the time being. Walt Kinney, of course, making his first appearance here, 25 years old. The Athletics had a really surprisingly young team in 1919, average age right around 25. And so the bases are loaded with 1 out, and here comes Sam Rice with a chance to be the hero. Here's Edgar, and there is a foul back. It's 0-1. Infield is in. It's fouled up and behind the plate. 0-2 now on Rice. That misses inside tight. 1-2. Ground ball to second base. Shannon goes to home for 1. Goes over to first base, but not in time. And Judge and Milan both move up a bag. And so they get the force at the plate, but that's all they get. And here comes Howie Shanks now. So Rice unable to come through with the base hit. The infield will move back now that there are 2 men out. And here comes Shanks, who avoided the draft. Let's see if he can avoid making an out. He's 1 for 4 in this game. I have to actually push the button here. There we go. There's the ball to Shanks, 1-0. And that's inside on him and just misses. 2-0. Kinney has to throw strikes. And there's a strike. Perkin with a good pose for that one. 2-1. And there's a ground ball over to short. Dugan flips that one over to Shannon at second, and we go to the top of the 13th. So Shanks ends up hitting that one the wrong way, trying to pull it, and it's a key decision to leave Johnson in the game. This will bring up Cy Perkins for the Athletics, and there's a strike in there to Perkins. Boy, that inning is a big could-have for the Senators. Perhaps they should have bunted with Rice. That didn't make sense to me, but that's a lesson learned. Swing and a miss by Perkins, 0-2. Bounced in the dirt, 1-2. It's hit hard to left field, and that's through the hole. Pass to the diving Davis for a base hit, and here comes Jimmy Dykes. So Dykes with his first at-bat here of the game. I'm not sure, so I haven't done the research necessarily for every single player. I looked mostly at the players that actually played in this first game of the 1919 season. Looking on the bench, there is Dykes, as I'm checking this out. He had played actually for the Athletics in 1918. My guess is that he was probably with the team for all of 1919, I'm thinking. I'm going to look here really quick and sort of see his minor league statistics here. And Yeah, he did. I'm sorry. He played for Atlanta for a while there, so I'm not sure if he was with the team, the big team at the beginning of the season or not. It might end up being a mystery. We might not have an answer for that for a while. There's a ball inside to Dykes, 1-0. Turns to bunt, but takes the strike instead. It's 1-1. Taking a look at when he appeared, we got to take a look here at his game logs. Dykes in 1919 did appear twice in early May, so it's probably likely he was with the team by this time. There's a swing and a miss by Dykes, is 1-2. And it's fouled off of his toe. 1-2 remains. That's a ball high and outside, 2-2. So he's not going to be bunting, I'll tell you that. There's a ball down and in, full count. Walter's struggling a little bit, and there's a swing and a miss, down he goes. Johnson with 7 strikeouts, that'll bring up Red Shannon, 1 away. Ball inside there to Maurice, 1-0. Popped up, third baseline. It'll be Foster, the third baseman, grabbing it for the out, 2 away. And here comes Merlin Cobb. Line drive off the glove of Janvrin, and that's going to be base hit over to right field. Janvrin with a noble attempt trying to get to that one, but he ended up slowing it up enough for Perkins to go to third base. And here comes Brago Roth with runners at the corners and 2 outs. So a chance for Brago, who's 0 for 5, to become the hero of this game already. Or all of a sudden, I should say. This is fouled back by Roth, 0-1. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2, just like that. Ball off the plate, 1-2. Pop fly, left side, and Foster runs over after that one, and it's just into the seats. So it's 1-2 on Roth now. And there's a swing and a miss on something down and away, so Johnson now has struck out 8, and we go to the bottom of the 13th. And so this is as far as they went in real life, 13. We'll see if the Senators can pull this one out. Here comes Hal Janvrin. 0 for 3. He's 0 for 4 now. That's a fly ball over to center, and Witt has that for the out, 1 away. Up comes Ike Davis, who's 0 for 5, and he takes the ball low, 1-0. Popped up, and that's into the wind. It'll be Shannon going over to shallow right field, making the catch, 2 away, and here comes Sam Agnew. This game started at 3:30 p.m. in real life. It'd probably be pretty dark by this time, right? 13 innings in. Ground ball over to the right side by Agnew, and Shannon has that, goes to first for the out, and we'll go to the top of the 14th. It's going to be a George Burns here again against Walter Johnson, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Johnson still powering ahead. 0-2 as Burns swung on and missed at that one. And there's strike 3 looking. 9 strikeouts for the big train, 1 away, and here's Whitey Witt. And there's a strike in there to Witt, 0-1. He's 2 for 5. Fouled away as that one was inside on his hands, 0-2. Just fouled away, still 0-2. That's just a little below, 1-2. It's been a while since we've seen Johnson throw a ball. Way outside, 2-2 now the count. It's popped way up left side. Davis, the shortstop, catches that for the out, and there's 2 away. That'll bring up Walt Kinney, the pitcher, and he'll stay in there, and he takes a strike, 0-1. We're going to take a quick look here for a second at Walt Kinney, another player that I don't know necessarily all that much about. Kinney was actually with Boston in 1918, and here with the Athletics in 1919. Go over here and check out his transactions, see how he got there, and he was there from the waivers. So he was a waiver wire player, and I'm guessing Mac just needed somebody who could pitch. 1-1 now the count. And there's a little ground ball back to Johnson, a check swing grounder, and he fields that one, goes to first just in time for the out. And we go to the bottom of the 14th, and it will be Johnson leading off, and he looks like he's still got some stuff with him, so I'm going to leave him in. Some of you might be arguing against that one. There's a ball in close to him. He's 0 for 4. Hit to right center field, but Roth this time has a beat on it and grabs it for the out. So Johnson got some wood on that one, but it's a loud out, 1 away, and here comes Joe Judge. Walked intentionally last time up, and he takes a strike. There's a ball just off the outside corner. It's 1-1. A little bit high. 2-1 now on Judge. Fouled away. It's 2-2. Fouled away again. It's hit over to Burns at first base, and he just walks to the bag with it. There's 2 men out, and here comes Eddie Foster. There's a strike to Foster, 0-1. Fouled off of Perkins for foul ball 0-2, and there's a ball outside. 1-2 now on Foster. Fouled away again. It's 1-2. And there's a ball inside. 2-2 to Foster. This game just continues. A ground ball over to short. Dugan has it on to first for the out, and we go to the top of the 15th. So everyone around DC's got to be waking up their neighbors talking about this one. There's a ball inside to Dugan. 1-0. 15 innings. There's a strike called now on Dugan, 1-1. Fouled away, and it's 1-2. This is one of those exciting games. That went inside on him, 2-2 now the count. That's hit to right center field, and Rice ends up fielding that one. Dugan had a thought about going to second base and then put on the brakes when he saw who fielded it. Rice with a good arm, and so that's a base hit leading off the bottom of the 15th, number 10 for the Athletics, and here comes Cy Perkins. There's a strike away to Perkins, 0-1. Swing and a miss on a pitch that was low, 0-2. And that one's a ball. Bad pitch by Johnson, 1-2. Hit up the middle. Davis fields that one, goes to first with it, his only play. Dugan moves over to second. There's one out, and here comes Jimmy Dykes. Dykes is 0-1, the youngster. Takes the ball, 1-0. There's another one in the dirt, 2-0. A little ground ball over to Johnson, and Johnson had Dugan in a potential rundown, but instead he decides to throw over to first base for the out. This is a bizarre play. It's some sort of a strange decision there by Johnson because he had Dugan off of second base. Dugan ends up going over to third base on that play. That's one of those 8-bit baseball game fielding plays is what you're going to have to characterize that as. So great play. Great play by Dugan to go to third. Johnson a little bit fatigued from this game. Here's Red Shannon. And he fouls one away, 0-1. Ground ball past the mound. Janvrin fields it, a short hop, throws to first for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 15th. Still 2-2. It's been 2-2 for almost a full ball game's worth. Here comes Clyde Milan. 1 for 4 today. He was intentionally walked last time, and he takes the ball up and in, 1-0. It's high, 2-0 now in Milan. There's a strike, it's 2-1. Popped up, but just out of play. 2-2 now on Clyde. It's way too high, so there's a full count on him. And he just gets a piece of that one to stay alive. Full count remains. And that is low, and that'll be ball 4, and that's kind of a key walk, and that brings up Sam Rice. Rice so far is 1 for 6 today, and here's the big question, which is, do you bunt with Rice? Do you hit and run? What do you do here? So I think we'll try the hit and run route. Throw to first base. Milan is just barely safe, so Kinney thinking the same way we were. Kinney with a good throw to first, good move to first, rather. And there's a chopper up the middle. Kinney couldn't reach that when Dugan fields it, but his only play first base because they had the runner going. So Rice with a productive out, I guess you'd call it. And here comes Shanks, and there are 2 chances to win this for the Senators. Milan over at second, 1 away. Here comes Howie Shanks, who's 1 for 5. And he takes the ball, 1-0. Fly ball, but out of play. 1-1 now. Problem is this big hole in the lineup for the Senators. There's a foul ball to the right side. It's 1-2. Line to third base. Dykes jumps, but it gets past him. That's going to be a base hit over to left. Cobb cuts it off. Milan is fast. We're going to try to have him score. Shanks goes over to second. The throw home, and he is thrown out on a close play. Shanks goes over to second base. So Clyde Milan, trying to win this ball game, is thrown out of the plate by Kopp. What an incredible play. What an incredible turn of events that one was. There's a question about whether they should have gone on the good arm of Kopp, but Milan being a fast runner, we figured might as well send him, and he's thrown out of the plate in the bottom of the 15th. So Hal Janvrin now comes up. Runner on at second base, still a 2-2 tie, but now with 2 men out. There's a strike in there to Janvrin. This is that hole in the lineup. Janvrin and Davis, neither one can hit. Fouled away, it's 0-2 on Hal. And that's high and away, 1-2. Little ground ball to the left side of Dugan, and he fields it, goes to first for the out, and we go to the top of the 16th. Walter Johnson has struck out 9. We'll see how much gas he has left. There's a strike to Merlin Kopp. Kopp with that great play from left field. There's a ball inside, 1-1. That misses way inside, 2-1 now on Kopp, and that's fouled in the air. Agnew has room for the out, 1 away. And here comes Braggle Roth. Swing and a miss by Roth, 0-1. Pop up and foul ground, but Agnew just can't get there. 0-2 now the count. Ground ball left side. Foster comes up with it, laid out for that one, and he got real dirty and had no play at first anyway. Great play by Foster, though. That's going to be an infield hit there for Roth, and that'll bring up George Burns. And Roth, of course, is a problem. Roth finally gets a hit. He's 1 for 7 today now after that. Johnson with 2 throws over to first, couldn't catch him. There's a ball to Burns, and this might be trouble for Washington. There's a strike down the middle of the plate, 1-1. There's another strike. Strike 2 there on Burns, 1-2. And that's in on Burns, and it gets in and hits him on the leg. And Johnson having some control problems, and that'll bring up Whitey Witt. I think we'll stay with Johnson. The foul ball by Witt off to the left side. He's 178 pitches into the game. Fouled away. It's 0-2. Hit to right center field, and Bryce cannot get there, and that's a base hit. And Burns goes to third base. Single there for Witt makes this a 3-2 ball game. And I think that's probably going to be just about it here for Johnson. Johnson has gone a long, long way, but I think it's about time to think about bringing in a relief pitcher. So Johnson works about as hard as you can possibly work. I think we'll put Ed Holvik in here. He'll come into Janvrin's spot, and we'll come up with a somebody, hopefully, who plays second base somewhere on this team. It'll be Joe Leonard that we'll put in here for the double switch. So Johnson ends up going 15 1/3 and gives up the run finally. And here comes Holvik. So there's a ball over to Kinney, the pitcher, 1-0 now, Ed Holvik. And there's another ball, 2-0. Grounder up the middle, and that's a base hit, and that'll be a run scored. Witt's going for third base. Milan's throw will go to third. He short hops Foster, and it's not in time. And that makes it 4-2 Athletics. Here comes Joe Dugan. This was a close game at one point in time. There's a ball to Dugan, 1-0. And there's a strike. Here goes Kinney, the pitcher, trying to steal second. Throw to second, and he's out. Awful jump there by Kinney. What in the world is he doing? So we'll look at his stats. I love doing this with this game. And yeah, in real life, he was thrown out once trying to steal. So they gave him that in the top of the 16th with a 2-run lead. Swing and a miss by Dugan now. It's 1-2 with the runner on at third. There's a ball, 2-2. Ground ball Foster, and he throws over to first base for the out. Great play by Judge. Judge, a very, very famous first baseman. In this game, actually, in real life, he made the big play at first base to save the game. It was in Walter Johnson's no-hitter in 1920. He made a big play at first base to save the no-hitter. That's about a year after this, year and a half. So we go anyway to the bottom of the 16th, and it'll be Davis, Agnew, and Leonard. Ike Davis, a lot of nothing in this game, and he takes the ball, 1-0. Young rookie, not that young. And he hits a little fly ball over to right field, and Roth has it for the out. Roth has 7 putouts in right field despite all of his adventures out there. 1 away, and here comes Agnew. Agnew's 1 for 5 with that triple, takes the ball inside. Swing and a miss of that one now. It's 1-1. That's low and outside. 2-1 now on Sam. And that's off of his bat. 2-2 now the count. And that's up high, but too high. Full count now on Sam. And that's up and in for a walk. So don't go anywhere quite yet. That'll bring up Joe Leonard. Remember, Washington now down by 2. So they're going to have to make something happen. Kinney, of course, a left-handed pitcher, and Leonard doesn't hit well against lefties. It's fouled away. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss. Perkins throws over to second base as Agnew was running with that pitch, and he's got it stolen. So Agnew, Sam has his first stolen base of this project. He was 1 for 3 in the stolen base department in real life. 0-2 now the count on Leonard as he fouls that one off and drops his bat in the process. Still 0-2. There's a line over Burns' head, and that's going to be a base hit down the right field line. Leonard with the big hit, and that makes this a 4-3 ball game. Don't go anywhere yet, and don't touch that dial. So back up to Joe Judge we go. Excellent defensive first baseman. Judge signed out of high school with the Red Sox. He was in Lewiston in Class B in 1913, only 19. A lot of these guys have that kind of story. Throw to first base, Leonard not going anywhere. There he goes now. There's a blooper down the left field line. Leonard goes over to third base as the potential tying run, and Judge with a good hit and run single, and that'll bring up Eddie Foster. So Judge not particularly fast over there at first base. Foster here in this game is 1 for 6. And boy, there's a lot of different things that can happen here. Foster, a pretty good bunter, not very good fielding in the infield for the Athletics. And so we'll see if we can push him home. And there's the suicide squeeze. Kenny throws home with the Leonard. Is thrown out of the plate, and Judge moves over to second. So it was a do-or-die play, and they died on it. Now there's 2 men out, runners on at first and second, and that's one of those few places where you want to take that chance. The Leonard, a good runner, thrown out of the plate by the relief pitcher, Walt Kinney. And that means it's still a 4-3 ball game with 2 men out, and here comes Clyde Milan. Clyde Milan, remember the words of the poem from Thomas Campbell, "The snow shall be their winding sheet, and every turf beneath their feet shall be a soldier's sepulchre." Well, Milan hopes that he's not going to step into a sepulchre here. He wants to step into some sort of base hit. And there's a line shot to second base, and that's going to be a single over. Roth fields it. Here comes a Judge around to try to score. Throw goes home. Milan will try for second base. Play at the plate, and he's out of the plate. Judge is thrown out of the plate by Brago Roth. Brago Roth with the big assist in the bottom of the 16th inning, and the Senators lose a heartbreaker. So Judge, not a particularly fast runner, and you knew that it was going to catch up with him. His running rating poor. The running rating, of course, they'll always look at stuff like how many times was he on base, how many times did he score the run, and he's just a foot too slow for that one. And it was a great play at the plate by Perkins, not the best throw in the world by Roth, but of course in the box score it's going to look like it was amazing. So the final score in this one, after 16 amazing innings, Athletics 4 runs, 13 hits, and 3 errors. The Senators, 3 runs, 11 hits, and no errors. And this is a heck of a way to start it. So we'll take a quick look here at the box score as soon as I find out where it is. And a pretty straightforward line score with Johnson going 15 1/3, giving up 12 hits, which was part of his undoing, struck out 9, didn't give up a walk, but was behind most of the time, 180 pitches. Perry went 11 1/3 and gave up 7 hits, but the big train ends up taking the loss here. Man, what a game this one was. So we go ahead and exit out of that one. This is only, the 5th game of this project, right? Because we had the doubleheader here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4th video of the project, and that's one heck of a way to do it. So I thank you for this. If you skip to the end, you better go back and watch some more of this. This was a crazy game. This is one to remember. I'll see you with one of these hopefully in like 2 or 3 days. We'll see what happens. I'll talk with you then. Bye.